Come and join me, my queens, for a typical upper body session that I do. Be sure to watch the entire training video as I share some of my top tips and cues that can help you when you do your upper body days. The benefits of training your upper body is to build structural balance from top to bottom, and especially as women, our upper body tends to be weaker. The upper body strength that you have will carry over into your lower body lifts. So let's just get straight into the video of me doing my upper body session. All right, ladies, you are going to see the entire upper body training session in this video, along with some of my tips that can help you when you perform any of these exercises in your upper body training sessions. And whether your goal is to build muscle, get stronger, or even drop body fat, then yes, training your upper body will help contribute to those goals. And most importantly, I want you to know that besides those goals, it's important to build upper body strength for everyday function as a woman, and also to prevent any injuries, because you want to have structural balance from upper body and lower body, because it seems that the lower body training sessions are more popular for women these days, and that most women neglect training upper body. But please, lady, train your upper body for the structural balance, and it also has a huge carryover to your lower body lifts. So I started off with a warm-up set. This is my actual working set here. A tip when performing this exercise is to always make sure that your glutes are glued to the bench and that they don't elevate. A really good tip is to, especially as you press up, squeeze your glutes at the bottom and keep your core tight at the same time while you press up. That will give you a lot more stability, as the pressing part is really challenging, and control on the way down. Typically, it is about 3 sets for 6 to 8 reps. Pressing exercises are incredibly challenging. That is why I always do this as the first exercise to get it out of the way. Okay, the next exercise that I'm performing is a standing lateral raise. A couple of tips for your lateral raise is that you want to be raising with your elbows as opposed to your hands. So making sure that as your hands come up to the top, your elbows are slightly higher than your wrist. You would feel your shoulders a lot more in this instance. So think raising up with your elbows as opposed to your wrists. The next exercise is one of my most favorite, and in fact a staple in every single upper body session that I do because of its benefits. I love this exercise because it targets the lats so good, and single arm because I really get that big range of motion, so fully protracting at the shoulder blade and coming all the way in and squeezing the shoulder blades at the back on the single arm, not just for the big range of motion, but because of the diagonal pull that you are getting here, as opposed to a seated row and a lat pull down. A seated row is vertical, as a lat pull down is horizontal. So with this is diagonal, and I find that it hits the lats so good. The lats are an incredibly underrated exercise because it has a huge role when you do your big lifts, such as your rows, barbell rows, your deadlifts, especially your RDLs and your squats. So this exercise is amazing exercise that has a huge carryover to those big lifts. All right, the next exercise is a barbell incline chest press. So I am obviously on a bit of an incline here to really target the shoulders at the same time. I only managed to get one repetition because chest press are one of my weaknesses, and something that I want to start improving on, bringing the strength in. I'm very good at a lot of the pulling, so I've got a really good strength in pulling, but pushing is my weakness, and yeah, that's something that I am going to continue to work on. So if the weight is too heavy, make sure you drop down the weight as I have here. So dropping down the weight and pumping out at least 6 to 8 reps. Here on an incline, same thing, you want to come down in a controlled manner, and I do have a little bit of an arch, as you could see, because my lats are engaged. When your lats are engaged, it locks your shoulders down into position. So the reason why you see an arch is purely because of the lats being engaged, and as the lats are engaged, that is the safest place for your shoulders to be in position. Because if your lats are not engaged, your shoulders will be in a very unstable position, and that could be potentially dangerous to perform the press. Another thing to note is that it doesn't really matter too much if the weight is light and it is manageable, but you typically see people having a massive arch is because they want to put their shoulder in the most safest position to be able to lift the heaviest weight as much as possible. And typically they will do 1 to 3 reps at most. But in this instance, you don't have to create such a massive arch if you are just going for a higher number of repetition, as long as you are keeping your core and glutes engaged the entire set. Moving on to the next exercise, which is also one of my favorites, the Tricep Rope Push Down. Ladies, do not neglect this exercise. I could tell you that it has such a huge carryover to when I perform my deadlifts and RDLs, because we need strong triceps in order, because they are part of your posterior chain muscles, meaning the muscles on the back. And this, even though the triceps are not so popular, and I believe is also an underrated exercise, should be trained, because it is in fact a bigger muscle group than your biceps. So ladies, train your triceps because it has a huge carryover to your deadlifts and RDLs. So with this exercise, you want to, same thing, engage your core and your glutes, and want to make sure that the shoulders don't come too far forward, and fully locking out at the elbows at the bottom and engaging the triceps there. Generally with the triceps, because it is a smaller muscle group, you do not want to go too heavy. You want to go at a weight that is manageable and that you are feeling the triceps where you're working it on specifically. I then have supersetted it to do a single arm tricep push down. As you could see here, I'm using ankle straps to as a grip, because it just feels much better as I perform each repetition. And a few things to keep in mind here is that I'm going super light, and generally speaking, the smaller the muscle group, it's hard to go too heavy. You want to go light and typically more reps to keep the triceps under tension and also feel the triceps muscles being engaged. The next exercise is a T-bar row. Over here, it is probably about my 5th or 6th exercise. I'm not going too heavy, and I am on this machine in a prone position to rest my trunk, my torso, and same thing, engage the core and glutes, and as I'm coming back, squeezing the shoulder blades back together at the end. By this exercise, I am pretty wrecked, so the aim is to focus on higher reps and feeling the engaged muscle, which works the upper back and the triceps as well. All right, the final exercise is the machine RAR Delt Razors. I really love this exercise because it targets the RAR delts, which often don't get a lot of love. When it comes to your RAR delts, they are a much smaller muscle group and they are part of your shoulders. So your shoulders consist of 3 muscles, and you've got your front shoulder, your side, and your rear delts, so your rear shoulders. And when it comes to working on your rear delts, you do not need to go super heavy on this machine. You'd want to go lighter in weight and more reps, because if you do go heavier, then you may run into the potential of your larger muscle groups, such as your traps, to take over, which isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. But if you want to purely focus on bringing up strength in your rear delts, then lighter in weight and keeping that constant tension and connecting that mind to that rear delt muscle, and just go higher in reps. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you are able to implement the tips that I have shared with the exercises when you do those exercises in your upper body training day. I have the full description of the exercises, reps and set in the description below, so go check it out. And if you'd like to see more voiceovers of these training videos, whether that is lower body or upper body, please do let me know in the comments. And I would love to know, what is your favorite upper body exercise? Let me know in the comments section. And finally, I just want to let you know that your mind is your most powerful asset, and you could do anything that you put your mind to. And if you want to see a lower body session that I do with voiceovers, make sure you click the video here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.